Messina, Sicily, Italy. On Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, large parts of southern Italy woke up to one of the most intense Mediterranean weather events seen in recent years. Sicily, Sardinia, and Calabria found themselves at the center of a powerful cyclonic system known as Cyclone Harry, a deep low-pressure vortex that developed between the Strait of Sardinia and the Tunisian coast before moving northeastward across the central Mediterranean. Italian civil protection authorities classified the situation as extremely dangerous and issued a red weather alert, the highest level of warning, across wide areas of the three regions. From the earliest hours of the morning, the effects of Cyclone Harry were already severe. Sustained winds exceeded 110 kilometers per hour in multiple coastal and mountainous locations, with recorded gusts locally surpassing 120 kilometers per hour, and in some exposed areas of northeastern Sicily, even higher peaks during the most violent squalls. These wind speeds are comparable to those observed in a Category 1 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale, a rare but not unprecedented phenomenon in the Mediterranean basin, where such systems are often referred to as medicanes. The cyclone brought with it extraordinary rainfall. Meteorological stations across eastern Sicily, southeastern Sardinia, and parts of Calabria reported cumulative precipitation exceeding 300 millimeters in less than 48 hours, an amount equivalent to roughly 3 months of average rainfall for many of these areas. In several locations, more than half of that total fell within a single 24-hour period, overwhelming drainage systems, swelling rivers and streams, and triggering widespread hydrogeological instability. In Sicily, the provinces most severely affected included Messina, Catania, Syracuse, and Palermo. Along the Ionian coast, the combination of torrential rain and violent winds produced dangerous sea conditions. Offshore wave heights reached between 8 and 9 meters in the Ionian Sea, while the lower Tyrrhenian Sea saw waves between 6 and 7 meters. Near Catania, a nighttime observation recorded a wave approaching 9 meters, an exceptional height for the region, capable of causing serious coastal damage. Storm surges battered seafronts and ports. In several coastal towns, seawater invaded roads and promenades, forcing local authorities to close access to waterfront areas. In Messina province, villages such as those along low-lying stretches of coast experienced repeated wave overtopping, with debris carried inland by the force of the sea. Civil protection vehicles patrolled continuously, ready to intervene in case evacuations became necessary. The Italian Civil Protection Department, working in coordination with regional authorities, ordered the closure of schools, universities, public offices, parks, cemeteries, and sports facilities across dozens of municipalities. Mayors from major cities including Cagliari in Sardinia, Palermo and Catania in Sicily, and Catanzaro and Reggio Calabria on the mainland issued precautionary ordinances to limit movement and reduce exposure to risk. Scheduled institutional meetings were cancelled, and citizens were urged to remain indoors unless travel was strictly necessary. Transportation networks were heavily disrupted. Maritime connections were among the first to be affected. In Sardinia, ferry services to mainland Italy from ports such as Cagliari and Olbia were suspended, as were crossings to Corsica. Access to smaller islands, including Capri, and other minor islands in the Tyrrhenian and Ionian Seas, was temporarily closed due to dangerous sea states. In Sicily, ferry links to the Aeolian Islands were halted, leaving residents and visitors stranded until conditions improved. Road infrastructure suffered significant stress. Numerous state and provincial roads were closed as a precaution, or due to direct damage from flooding, landslides, or fallen trees. In Sardinia, sections of State Highway 195 between Cagliari and Capo Terra were shut down, along with provincial roads in the interior such as those near Tula and in the Ogliastra region. In Calabria, landslides isolated several families in hilly areas near Catanzaro, prompting local authorities to activate emergency support and monitor slope stability. Rivers and waterways across the affected regions were placed under constant surveillance. In Sardinia, Particular attention was paid to rivers and reservoirs such as the Flumendosa, Turso tributaries, and other major basins, where rapidly rising water levels raised concerns about overflow. In the province of Nuoro, dozens of families living near the banks of swollen rivers were evacuated, as a preventive measure, after water levels approached critical thresholds. Emergency response systems were fully activated. Municipal operation centers, known as COCs, were opened in all areas under red alert. Regional civil protection departments coordinated closely with mayors, fire brigades, emergency medical services, law enforcement, and infrastructure operators, including railway and energy networks. In Sicily, the Civil Protection Department established advanced operational centers to manage real-time information and deploy resources where needed. Despite the severity of the storm, authorities reported that major airports, including Catania Fontanarossa Airport, remained operational during the peak of the event, albeit under strict monitoring. Airport officials confirmed that runways and navigation systems continued functioning safely, an outcome attributed to constant maintenance and rapid response teams prepared to address wind-related debris and water accumulation. The human impact of Cyclone Harry was significant, though mitigated by early warnings and preventive measures. Hundreds of residents across the three regions were evacuated from high-risk zones, particularly in flood-prone river valleys and coastal areas exposed to storm surge. Emergency shelters were opened where necessary, and local administrations worked to ensure access to food, heating, and medical assistance. While no widespread structural collapses were immediately reported, emergency crews responded to numerous incidents involving fallen trees, damaged roofs, power outages, and blocked roads. Meteorologists described the event as one of the most intense winter storms to affect southeastern Sardinia and eastern Sicily in recent decades. The cyclone's unusual strength was attributed to a combination of very warm sea surface temperatures for the season and a sharp contrast with cold air descending from northern Europe, creating ideal conditions for rapid cyclogenesis in the Mediterranean. By late Tuesday, forecasts indicated that the system would gradually weaken from Wednesday onward, though residual instability was expected to persist, particularly along the Ionian coast. Authorities warned of the possibility of renewed squalls and localized heavy rainfall even after the main system moved away, urging continued caution. As the immediate emergency phase unfolded, attention also turned to the broader context of such events. Cyclone Harry fit into a growing pattern of increasingly intense Mediterranean storms observed over recent years. Climate scientists have noted that while the Mediterranean has always experienced powerful low-pressure systems, warmer sea temperatures can increase the potential intensity of these storms, leading to higher rainfall totals and stronger winds over shorter periods. In the days following the peak of the storm, assessments were expected to focus on damage to infrastructure, agriculture, and coastal defenses. Vineyards, citrus groves, and olive plantations in low-lying areas faced the risk of waterlogging and erosion, while fishing communities reported damage to small harbors and equipment exposed to extreme wave action. Beyond the verified facts of the storm's impact, Cyclone Harry also reignited public discussion in Italy about preparedness, land management, and the vulnerability of coastal and mountainous communities. Many residents described a sense of déjà vu, comparing the deserted streets and closed schools to lockdown periods of previous years, though this time the threat came from nature rather than a public health crisis. In conversations across social media and local radio, people spoke of the fear induced by the constant roar of the wind and the relentless pounding of rain through the night. Others reflected on how quickly everyday routines can be disrupted when infrastructure is pushed beyond its limits. Even in areas that escaped the worst damage, the awareness of living at the mercy of such forces left a lasting impression. Looking ahead, the aftermath of Cyclone Harry is likely to influence regional planning discussions. Calls for improved drainage systems, reinforced coastal barriers, and stricter controls on construction in high-risk zones are expected to grow louder. Emergency services, while widely praised for their rapid response, will likely review operational protocols to further improve coordination during multi-region crises. For now, as skies slowly clear and waters recede, communities across Sicily, Sardinia, and Calabria begin the process of recovery. Streets must be cleared, damaged infrastructure repaired, and displaced residents assisted in returning safely to their homes. Cyclone Harry will be remembered not only for its meteorological intensity, but also as another reminder of the evolving challenges faced by Mediterranean regions in an era of increasingly extreme weather. As the winds ease and the sea gradually calms, what remains is a shared experience etched into the collective memory of southern Italy, a day when nature asserted its power with unmistakable force, and when preparedness, timely warnings, and coordinated response made the difference between chaos and controlled emergency.
La gente che c'è qua per le case.
No, sono venuti qui con un canotto acqua.
Per la gente che c'è qua per le case.
No, sono venuti qui con un canotto acqua.